He cried in jail but still went back. Picture this: a young pastor, just 27 years old, sitting in a Montgomery cell jail. His name Martin Luther King Jr. And in that cell, he broke down crying. He told Coretta, his wife, that he was ashamed of himself crying. But here is the part almost nobody tells you. He still chose to walk back into jail. Not once, not twice, but 29 times. The man who cried in jail still chose jail. 29 arrests. Each one carried its own texture, its own chains, its own loneliness. Historian Clavon Carlton, the very scholar Coretta Scott King trusted to edit her husband's papers, said it plainly. King was not like John Lewis inside a cell. Lewis could find peace there. King found only the kind of loneliness that broke him open. The first arrest, January 26, 1956, Montgomery, Alabama. King was charged with driving 30 miles per hour in a 25 zone. A petty charge, but it was the city's way of striking back against the bar's boycott. 4 days later, while his wife and baby daughter were home, someone bombed his house. That was the beginning. Chains in Georgia, October 26, 1960, 4 in the morning. Gas pulled King out of his cell in DeKalb County Jail, chained his legs, and drove him 230 miles through the dark to Reedville State Prison. His crime: sitting at a lunch counter in Atlanta's Rich department store. Coretta was pregnant with their third child. King later recalled they treated him like a hardened criminal. His attorney woke up to find his client gone, whisked away with astonishing and unnecessary swiftness. Coretta was certain he would not survive the ride. From Raceville, King wrote her a letter by hand. He told her this was the cross they had to bear for the freedom of their people. That line became famous. What gets skipped is that he wrote it while genuinely unsure if he would ever come home. Politics and survival. News of King's transfer reached both presidential campaigns. Nixon stayed silent. Kennedy picked up the phone. He called Coretta from Chicago, told her he was thinking about her and the baby. Within 2 days, King was released on bond. Historians still debate how much that call influenced the resulting 1960 elections, but black voters heard it, and they heard Nixon's silence too. Now the pattern of the arrest. March 1956, indicted for organizing the boycott. September 1958, charged with loitering in the courtroom. May 1961, obstructing a sidewalk in Albany, Georgia. July 1962, arrested again in Albany for holding a prayer vigil. April 1963, Birmingham solitary confinement. That's where he wrote the letter from Birmingham jail on scraps of newspaper margins smuggled out by his lawyer. The words became immortal, but the conditions were brutal. King depended on the warmth of the people to hold his nerves together. Birmingham stripped even that away. St. Augustine, Florida, 1964. King walked into a Motor Lodge restaurant with fellow ministers. Arrested for trespassing, driven off with a police dog beside him in a squad car. Days later, activists jumped into the white-only pool. The manager poured acid into the water to drive them out. That same week, 17 rabbis were arrested in prayer, the largest mass arrest of rabbis in American history. The photograph shook the nation and helped push the Civil Rights Act of 1964 across the finish line. Selma, 1965. King was arrested with more than 250 others during a voter registration drive. Weeks later, the Edmund Pettus Bridge collapsed, tear gas, blood on television screens. The Voting Rights Act followed that August. Now, the truth of courage. Every arrest was petty, every cell was real, every release was followed by the quiet decision to walk into the next one. By the time he was killed in Memphis in 1968, King had been arrested 29 times. He still went, he still knelt, he still wrote letters with a pencil knob in the margins of newspapers. He still walked out to face the next lunch counter, the next sidewalk, the next ballot. And here is the truth. Courage didn't feel like courage inside those cells. It felt like shame. It felt like loneliness. It felt like chains at 4 in the morning. But King carried that cross until Memphis took him. The least we can do is remember him before the statues, before the holidays, before the sanitized speeches. Remember him as a man who cried in jail and still chose to go back 29 times. Now, this is not just history, it's a reminder of what ordinary courage looked like when no camera is rolling, when no crowd is cheering. A man who hated the cell but walked in anyway. That's Martin Luther King Jr., the man behind the marble. Thanks for watching and see you in the next story. Bye bye.